Hello, everyone. Thank you for another excellent week of discussion. A lot of interaction this week. A lot of really good insights. A lot of thinking outside the box for the Ethical Dilemma Forum, the value of human resources, the situation with Karen, our new CEO, and her desire to fire Dean and Sylvia. Dean, the only openly gay employee in our firm, and Sylvia, the only person of color. And it doesn't look like a good situation. I agree with all of you who said on the surface, something does not feel right about this when Karen gets her new position and she comes to you, the person who supervises Sylvia and Dean, as well as a slew of other people in customer service, and says, look, I want to fire these two people within the next month, keep a log on them. Their work is acceptable, but I want to get rid of them and keep a log on them for the next month so that we could document it and we don't have to worry about the union getting back at us. That does look bad. It does sound bad. But I really appreciate all the creative thinking that all of you put into this. You know, somebody said, bring in human resources from the very beginning. Tell human resources, this is what's going on. Karen asked me to do this. I'm going to keep this log, but I just want you to be aware this doesn't quite feel right to me. Kind of back yourself up. Then a lot of you said, well, I would keep the logs, but I would keep logs of all the employees, see how everybody's doing. And maybe keeping the log on Dean and Sylvia would show that Dean and Sylvia are doing great work. They're doing fine, and show that evidence to Karen and say, look, we really can't. There's no reason to dismiss these two employees, and perhaps that would solve the problem. If one of you also said maybe you offer Karen the alternative of, look, if you're not happy with their performance, what can we do to help them perform better? And that might be something. Karen says their performance is acceptable. Acceptable is not stellar. Acceptable is acceptable. It's okay. But maybe Karen has some bigger ambitions, and she wants to get rid of people who are only performing adequately and wants to bring in people that are perform even better. So perhaps you've heard of cases where somebody comes in and they say, all right, well, anybody that the people that are at the bottom of the performance scale, we're going to let them go. And because we're moving ahead, and those people are people that are holding us back. So one of you said, talk with Karen about the situation with Sylvia and Dean. Try to find out why do you want to get rid of them? What is the issue? And possibly even point out to her how this looks. That this looks like prejudice. This looks like racism. This looks like homophobia. Help me to understand what's really going on here. Corey suggested using the crib method, to sit down with Karen and commit to seek a mutual purpose. That you're going to say, Karen, I want to work with you. How can we agree to work toward a common goal? Recognize that what is the reason behind this strategy of documenting this log? What was her thinking behind that? I invent a mutual purpose. Can you come together on something that's mutually acceptable, and then brainstorm some new strategies? I think that's an acceptable way to approach this. Sit down with Karen and see what's going on. But then again, we don't know the whole story. But if it is as it appears, and this really is a terribly unethical situation, as Christina and Camilla and others of you pointed out, you kind of have to know where you stand and know what you'll do if it turns out that this is as bad as it looks at first glance. That you'll go to HR. That you might have to go to the state and report these things. That in fact you may end up either having to resign, or you may end up losing your job, and that sometimes it comes to that level. As I put in the discussion forum about 4 years ago, a friend of mine ended up losing his job because he had seen some racism going on. He challenged it. He went to the owner of the company and explained that this is what was going on, and the owner decided to side with the person that was acting in a racist way, and my friend got fired. And it was one of those things where there was really nothing that he could do to protect himself. He lost his job, and unfortunately, sometimes in this broken world of ours, things do not work out in a just way. But we have to stand up for what we believe in and act according to our own ethics as much as possible. The other forum had also a lot of great activity. I was happy to see that several of you resonated with Rick Ufford Chase. I really resonate with what he had to say about social justice too. That although social justice isn't something I expect will attain in my lifetime, fortunately, nothing could be more fulfilling than working to make it happen. That there is this sense that there is some fulfillment in the journey. And you all talked about equality, equality among people, mutual respect for people who have different ideas and are from different cultures. You talked about the elimination of poverty, of living wages for people, of not participating, of not supporting companies that don't treat their workers well, eliminating unfairness in taxation, eliminating the gender pay gap. And I was inspired by that part of the conversation to do a little research that I put into the discussion forum. And it was very interesting to me that at least one of the ways, at least among physicians, and I would guess that this translates into other careers as well, that one of the things that really impacts the gender pay gap is when women decide to have children, that often coincides at a place where they're at a point in their career where they could start moving forward. If a woman decides to have a child and then step back from work for a while, that has or either completely step back from work and stay home with the child, or take a less responsible, less intense role so that they have more time to be at home, keep their job, but take a less intense role so that they have more time to be at home with the child, that has a real impact on their career advancement. So that we would need real social change to affect that. And the social change would be the way that we consider presently, we still mostly consider childcare, especially the care of young children, to be something that women do. And we would have to change that so that it would be more of a shared responsibility between men and women, and that men would be able and be encouraged to take family leave time or take a less responsive role in order to spend more time at home, so that there would be balance between men and women. Thank you all for that piece of the conversation and for pointing that out. You also pointed out the Me Too, hashtag Me Too and hashtag Time's Up movements on social media and in our world. That's a huge piece of social change. And hopefully it will continue so that the sexual harassment and discrimination against women will really get to the point where it's completely unacceptable in any profession, in any industry. Thank you for all this good discussion, variety of perspectives. We are in our last week. One more week. It's hard to believe, but thank you for all of your great participation. I look forward to this last week, and if there's any way that I could be helpful to you as you finish up the course, you know how to get in touch with me. Thanks.